People ask sometimes, is it different growing up in a preacher's kid home? And I'm thinking, different than what? That's all I know. I mean, I guess being a deacon kid, your dad might say, hey boy, I want that grass cut today. I guess that's how they would say it, but not my dad. No, not with his preacher voice. It'd be something like, so when I come home, thou shalt put the hand on the handle of the mower, thou shalt pull once.
See, I became a Christian in 4th grade. Now, by the way, if you become a Christian in 4th grade, you know God a long time, but makes for real boring testimony.
Well, I used to be King James only. By the grace of God, I'll never, ever back off on the King James Bible and the defense of it. And you will see the fact that a book like this, a perversion like this, the NIV, actually does remove verses.
That's the problem with becoming a Christian when you're just a little kid. You have no cool testimony. How I long for the testimonies I used to see go up in my church. Yes, I used to be addicted to heroin and the Lord freed me. And I'd be like, oh, if I was addicted to heroin.
A Homestead High School wrestler is recovering after suffering severe neck and back injuries in a weekend match.
His coach tells us Go-Go's was thrown to the mat in an illegal move, and that's when he broke a vertebrae in his neck.
Coach Nathan DeVoe feared his wrestler was paralyzed, while teammates huddled in prayer.
Because the brain and its nerve cells are so fragile, sudden, rapid movements of the head can cause injuries. In high-speed coup-contre-coup injuries, the impact may be violent enough to cause swelling and bruising of the brain tissue, called a contusion.
Put a helmet on!
For some people, it is perfectly acceptable to manipulate others. It's almost a lifestyle. So how do we protect ourselves against people like that?
They're good at putting you on the defensive. They may come up with a rationalization for their behavior that just sounds so wonderful. Makes you feel like the bad guy for confronting them on something. They know that if they can get around your resistance, they're halfway home. So they don't want you to see that they're on the aggressive.
But they're afraid to do the right thing. Because they're phonies when it comes down to it. Isn't that what a manipulator is?
That is correct.
Phony.
That is correct. A manipulative person is basically, as I call in my book, a covertly aggressive personality. They want to get the better of you, but they don't want to be seen as doing that.
Right.
What we need to know is what makes them tick. What are the tactics that they're going to use on us? How do we respond to these tactics? How do we assert ourselves?
That is a great testimony!
There are 200 men standing in our studio audience right now. Each one is holding a picture of themselves at the age when they say they were first sexually abused. What happened to them as young boys has profoundly affected who they have become as men.
I was a prostitute and the Lord freed me. Oh, I could have done that! I was 9! I had to, invent some complex testimony. Yes, I used to have difficulty with long division, and the Lord freed me from my mathematical shackles.
And you show in the kill shot, Kennedy is going back and to the left, very clearly. The shot has to come from the front because he reacts. He goes back. And now they've put scientific coding on it and called it all kinds of things, but that doesn't work. Nor does the magic bullet, the single bullet that wounds Connolly and Kennedy 7 times. It doesn't work at all. It's a ridiculous bullet. When you take those 2 incidents alone, plus the autopsy of Kennedy, which is bizarre because most of the witnesses saw a huge exit wound on the back of his right skull. Huge. They described the cerebellum falling through the skull in the Parkland Hospital. And later on, when he gets to Bethesda and the illegal autopsy is done, controlled by the military, the back of the head is repatched. And all the photos since then have been and the people who actually saw the head go and they look at the photo and say, that was not the head that I saw. So it's a bizarre story, but those call them 3 major points.
You are tuned in to God's Property Radio. Here are your hosts, Sam and Dan.